big piece of platform research with our friend Jonathan Rothwell, where we looked at the devaluation of commercial real estate in majority black neighborhoods, and where we looked at what the survey of consumer finances has to say about ownership of commercial real estate in the United States. And what we found in that survey is that while commercial real estate is a relatively obscure asset for any household to own, right? The vast majority of households do not own any commercial real estate. We found that there is a stark racial disparity in the ownership of this asset, just like there is across many types of assets. And our argument is that this is related to the racial wealth gap, and that we can't close the racial wealth gap by just addressing any one asset, whether it's retirement accounts or home ownership. We have to think across assets if we really want to close that gap. Okay, so number two, and I know we have many friends from the community development space, so maybe this reason resonates with you, that growing black ownership of commercial real estate can help combat retail redlining. So number three, commercial real estate is an input to home values. And so once again, like the need to think across asset classes and to think about the real experience of how people live their lives, that your quality of life and the quality of your neighborhood is not just about the people and the other houses in your neighborhood, it's also about the amenities that your neighborhood has. So for starters, we know that commercial real estate matters to home buyers when they're looking at neighborhoods. You may stereotypically hear people say, well, I picked X neighborhood to live in because I had to get access to a good school, or because I was worried about crime or whatever. But actually, what people tell their realtor in the annual survey that's done by the National Association of Realtors is that retail amenities matter more than school quality or job access to a larger share of home buyers in choosing their location. So we know that this is something that really, really matters to people when they're choosing where to live. There is a big body of research out there showing that what in the media and in scholarship is called walkability is positively related to home values. What is just one layer underneath that is that the measure that scholars are using to do these studies about the value of walkability, it's not a measure of whether there are sidewalks, how many days in your community it's 75 degrees, how steep the slopes are in your community. It's not a measure of any of those things. The vast majority of the Walk Score Index is composed of a measure of retail density and diversity in an exponential distance decay function. It measures how much retail is near a given point. That is the main thing that it's measuring. So even though it's called Walk Score, what it is a retail amenity diversity index. And so when you hear these headlines that one Walk Score point can increase the price of a home by an average of $3,000, what that's really about is it's about the same thing that home buyers are telling their realtors. People want access to retail in their neighborhoods. This is something that matters. So that said, it is more complicated than just suggesting there's this linear relationship between home values and access to retail, right? Because what kind of retail matters. And what we found in this same project, where we looked at retail, just overall retail counts in neighborhoods, is that because conventional retailers redline majority black neighborhoods and avoid them, that means that what we called in this project predatory retail is overrepresented in majority black neighborhoods. Basically, because flower shops and dry cleaners and grocery stores are less likely to locate in black neighborhoods, the prevalence of, for example, pawn shops is the same across all kinds of neighborhoods, but the share of retailers that are things like bars, pawn shops, payday lending, etc., the share ends up being higher in Black neighborhoods because of the missing conventional retail that is not there. And so the answer to making CRE the healthy input to home values that it should be in majority Black neighborhoods is not just more retail of any kind. It has to be more of the right kind of retail. And that's why that's why we believe that local control is such and local involvement in rehabilitating the retail mix is such an important part of the solution to this problem. Number 4, why should cities care about this? Why should local governments care about this? Because commercial real estate is a critical part of the tax base of places. This is in the headlines so much right now because of what's going on with office valuations. But in our devaluation study, we looked just at retail commercial real estate, and we found that while retail is less than 10% of what makes up, right, neighborhoods are mostly houses with just a little bit of retail, which is what you see in the bar on the left, that retail is less than 10% of the share of inventory nationwide, and that's also true at the place level. It's almost half of the estimated wealth loss in majority Black neighborhoods due to just a 7% devaluation effect. Because commercial real estate is so rare, it is extremely valuable. And so any little thing that's going wrong with your commercial real estate has an outsized impact on the community, but also on the tax base that's available to jurisdictions in order to provide service. And so Andre wrote a piece last year, new year, calendar started over. Andre wrote a piece in 2023 that talked about the paradox that majority Black communities are trapped in, where because of devaluation, the tax base is systematically slightly less valuable, so it is underappraised, and thus, in order to raise enough revenue to provide the same level of services that all neighborhoods want, it is over-assessed in order to raise the revenue to provide the services. That is a systematic tax on Black neighborhoods that also feeds the racial wealth gap, right? It's another way in which this is structural. And until we resolve that and strengthen the tax base in majority Black communities, that is an ongoing toll that will continue to be charged so that Black communities can have the schools, the roads, the water, the services that they need, just like every neighborhood, in order to thrive.
Hey Tracy, quick question on that. Is that the tax base, is that sales tax, or is that just?
This is just property tax.
Just property tax, okay.
But the sales tax implications are super obvious. So I focused on property tax here because I'm focusing on the local governments as a core audience, and across the U.S. sales taxes tend to go to the state, but that's not always true, and sometimes they return to local governments through various formulas. Okay, 5th reason. We have some friends from Detroit here. Jermaine, have you seen this one before?
Yes.
Yeah, so we know that neighborhood revitalization takes a thicker capital stack. That once you get outside of downtown, that there's less equity available. And so it's gotta come from somewhere else. And while in this diagram, what we're showing is the way that the Strategic Neighborhood Fund has become that source of additional equity in order to unlock neighborhood revitalization in Detroit. We believe that the community can become an additional source of equity in order to revitalize commercial real estate if we can create new shared ownership models that are SEC compliant and allow that equity in order to enter these deals.
That's fine, dance.
Right? Yes, we're not going to commit any federal crimes. Okay, the sixth reason. The sixth reason to do this is because there is real demand out there for tangible investment products. Yes, it is true. The standard economic development argument that you're going to hear is that investors and entrepreneurs who could be doing retail businesses or retail property, that they'd be better off just getting a job at a company in a tradable sector, that they'd be better off if they have savings just investing it in a retirement account, or that they'd be better off buying treasury bonds. That is true, but that is a false choice, because not everyone has the same interest, trust, and access to those kinds of job opportunities and those kinds of products. People want to be able to invest in the neighborhoods that they know and love, and in the real estate that they can reach out and touch. And it's kind of patronizing to say, oh, people want to be able to invest in this way, but we're not going to let them do it because the SEC has decided that it's too risky. So, I think there has to be we have to create a way out of that addresses the real issue of the ethics of exposing people to risk, while at the same time addressing the ethics of communities' demand to be empowered. It's a real thing that we need to listen to. And the Community Investment Trust in Portland, I think, is living proof of this. That extremely low-income investors who are investing in $10 increments on a monthly basis, they're not going to be buying stocks and bonds. And the CIT has proved over a 6-year time period to be a way to engage these people as investors, to help them save for the first time, to help them invest for the first time in a product they can reach out and touch in order to get to know the idea and to see that it works, and then potentially transition to some of these other more conventional investment products, such as a retirement account. And my seventh and final reason for why the time is now to buy back the block is that real estate needs to be a part of the sustainability model for nonprofits. This is my reason, this is why I came to this work. As a board member of a community development corporation, I have never seen a path to sustainability for my first baby CDC that I cared about, depending on grants from government and philanthropy. The grants come, the grants go, but the community and its needs and the mission are always there. And the real estate assets in that community should be supporting and working towards that mission. And I believe that real estate is for everybody. It should not just be a mechanism for in the community where on the CDC where I was on the board, there was like one guy that owned half the town, who was doing his business his way, without really talking to anybody else, when really those assets are sustained by the market of the community and should, I believe, be put to work for the community. And localizing ownership of commercial real estate through community-based organizations is a real way that we can both democratize real estate and ensure sustainability for the mission of these organizations in a new way. And so that's why I'm so excited to be working with community-based organizations in this project who want to explore this thesis and to think about real estate and getting rich in a different way.